Alright, so I didn't know what I wanted to do for the next episode. This subject, in and of itself, won't make you better at the game, but it's something I've wanted to talk about and explain to people. Um, I mean, maybe this knowledge is more just, I mean, this is super advanced stuff. Um, so we're going to talk about how to identify hackers, because I was complaining about in the other episode about how I'm tired of people calling me. I mean, like I like being called a hacker because I'm really good, but people don't know what they're talking about when they call people hackers. So basically, the first signs of detecting a hacker, we talked about looking at people's names and remembering people's names, and looking at the leaderboard. So like the first step in detecting a hacker starts when you're in the pregame lobby, when you see all the people you're going to be playing with. So the fact of the matter is that a hacker 99.99999% of the time is going to be on a PC. Now the reason for this is because, and mind you, I'm not an expert. I've never hacked in my life. I don't, I mean, I've researched hacks and I've played Call of Duty for 15 years, so I know, I've played tons of hackers, believe me. But I know the basics of how hacks like how to get them to work, but I know a lot on how hacks affect the game, if that makes sense. So basically, like I'll try to give you a quick rundown. The way it works is that with the modern consoles, basically ever since the PS4. Now I'm gonna probably butcher this explanation, but with the consoles after the PS4, basically it's nearly impossible to hack a console. And the reason for that is that, so like people used to be able to hack the PS3 and the Xbox 360, because basically you could think of it like if a hacker had a key, it could unlock all the PlayStations. Now, I mean, this is really hard to explain, but like basically all the PlayStations and all the Xbox 360s had the same lock, and all a hacker needed to do was find the key that would unlock all those PlayStations. And so basically one key could unlock every console. Now, with the new consoles, they basically changed that to where every console has its own lock and you need its own key. So that's a very basic understanding of why you can't hack a console. You can, but it's extremely difficult, and no one's going to be taking the time to hack consoles to hack Call of Duty. Okay, so if you want to understand it more, do your own research. Like I said, I know the basics of how it works, but that's not what's important. So PC players, basically, the reason they can hack is because they can access all the game files directly. They can modify the code. They can, you can't do any of that stuff on console. It just, long story short, it's not the same. Believe me when I say PC players, like not all PC players are hackers, but all hackers are PC players. So the first thing you want to look for when you're identifying a hacker is see if they're playing on PC. Okay, and the way to tell that is that if in the pregame lobby, it'll show the little computer tower next to their name, and maybe they're playing on mouse and keyboard, or maybe they're playing on controller. So that's the first step. Okay, every time I've played a hacker, it's been been a person on PC. Believe me. All right, so that's the first step. The second step is sometimes they just give it away in their name. There's some losers that think they're cute, and they'll put like Ricochet admin, and Ricochet is the name of the anti-cheat software that Call of Duty uses. It sucks ass, but basically, they'll have some stupid name, but that's kind of irrelevant. So you're looking for if they're a PC player, and the second thing, obviously, is, weird deaths and that kind of thing. So just because somebody's better than you, like me, doesn't mean they're a hacker. Now, again, it's extreme. I mean, unless you've played Call of Duty, like unless you yourself are good, really, I mean, it's going to be very hard to tell if somebody's a hacker, because if you just suck and you're dying, you're not really going to be intelligent. Like, I'm not being mean when I say that. You're not going to be intelligent enough to really know what's going on. So I'm going to try to explain this as best as I can. Some pretty good indicators on if somebody's hacking. I mean, they're not solid proof, but odd behaviors. Now, it's not uncommon to see people like jump shot, and do stuff like, that's a common thing good players do. It's not uncommon to see, like for me, like I use the AK, right? And we're talking about hardcore here. You know, I'm not going to sit there and spray bullets at somebody. I might just go, or like, like short bursts of fire instead of just like fully loading. But if it's a pattern, like if I know someone is here, I'm just going to go, I'm not going to go, and try to shoot them, right? But like if I'm jump shotting and I like vaguely know where they're at, yeah, I'm probably going to shoot more rounds, right? But what I'm getting at is that if you hear a player or see a player just like always doing that, always just going, that's a pretty good indicator that they might be hacking. And the reason why is because that shows that they're like almost preemptively knowing where their engagements are going to be. So like the reason you spray ammo everywhere is because you're trying to line up the target, you're under fire, you're under pressure, you don't know exactly where they are. So it's like, okay, you're not going to get a super accurate shot, right? But if you know where someone is, it's like, oh, I know someone's around that corner, so I'm just gonna get them right there. You know what I'm saying? So like that's a pretty good indicator. And the other indicator about the jump shotting thing is that since hackers have their hacks on, usually it's like aimbot or something like that. Well, I mean, we'll get into the different types of hacks, but if they're running aimbot, obviously they don't have to aim, and their biggest strength on top of being a hacker is mobility. So they can just shoot anybody that's around this corner. They don't even have to think. They just jump and the game plays itself. Okay, so that's one thing. Another indicator, most hackers play hardcore. And the reason for that is obvious. It should be obvious, is that there's no kill cam for players to see. I mean, there are hackers in regular modes, don't get me wrong, but the reason most of them are in hardcore is because there's no kill cam. It makes it extremely difficult for someone to be like, oh yeah, he's obviously hacking. Like if you're watching a kill cam and some guy is like, I'm not going to be able to mimic it very well because I've got regular controls, but it's like there's a guy. Let's just pretend there's a guy here and a guy here and like a guy over here, right? So if they're coming around this corner and you see the kill cam and they're just going, boop, 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 and they're just, obviously it's going to look instant. It's going to be like they're gonna kill all three of those guys in like half a second. You know what I'm saying? Because they got aimbot. The game's just playing itself. It's just just like that. So, and on hardcore, it's like unless you're like physically watching them do it, like in the game, you're not gonna be able to tell. Maybe you'll get lucky and they'll be the final kill cam or something like that, and then you can tell that way. But another indicator is hackers almost always don't play the objective, or they'll forfeit the game and leave right at the last second. And the reason for that is, like I said before, if they leave the game and forfeit, they won't appear as the final kill cam, for one. For two, it gives them a loss on their record, so that kind of fools the anti-cheat system, because if you see an account with like a bunch of losses, it's like, oh, well, obviously they couldn't be hacking because they have a lot of losses. If they're hacking, they'd be winning all the time. So that's one reason. Another reason, too, is as to why they leave the game before it's over, is so that people don't go out of their way to, like, report the, let's say, like, if I detect a hacker, right, I'm going to tell everybody on my team, like, hey, that guy's hacking, make sure you report him. And if you want to report them in the game, you have to hit the scoreboard, and there's nobody in this lobby, but you'll have to hit down on the D-pad or up or whatever and highlight their name with the selection, and then press R3 to report them, and then choose which report, right? Like some players, maybe they're just too focused on the game or don't care or whatever, right? Or, they don't want to do it right now, so they might not report them. And then, like, once it's the end of the game and, they're not playing the game anymore, they're like, oh, okay, like, I'll report that guy, but he's already left the game, you know what I'm saying? And the only way to report them after that is to hope to God that the recent game lobby, so like when you're on the main menu, you know, when you're searching for a game, you can open up the party menu, and then there's a tab that shows your recent lobby. And what your recent lobby is, it's basically all the players that you were playing with. Like, so like if it's like 12 people, you know, if you're playing team deathmatch, it's like, okay, well, there's 12 people in that lobby. It'll hopefully show all the people that were in that lobby, but this game is bugged to all hell, and sometimes it just doesn't even load. So all in all, it's just a way to avoid getting caught. And I already mentioned how I said hackers don't usually play the objective. Again, it usually just comes back to like they don't want to get wins so that their account doesn't look suspicious. And also usually they're just, I mean, you know, let's just be frank. Hackers are losers. They're garbage people, and usually the only reason they're hacking is because they hate their life so much that they want to come on the game and just make everybody else feel miserable. So they don't really care if, you know, they win or lose. I mean, they care if they lose for sure, but you know, to awesome gods like myself. But anyway, so those are all good indicators on detecting a hacker. Now, obviously, people leave games all the time, and you know, a lot of people don't play the freaking objective. But obviously, you know, not everybody's going to stay in the game the whole time. Just because somebody leaves a game doesn't mean, you know, that they're hacking, obviously. But, you know, if you're like, wow, that guy's like destroying me, and like I can't, you know, he's playing really weird, you know, and then he leaves at the last second, pretty good chance that he's a hacker. Because why would somebody play really well and then just leave the game? You know, they should want to win, right? But, you know, people leave games all the time, obviously, so, you know, and, you know, sometimes people are, like, again, people call me a hacker all the time, but I'm just really freaking good at the game, you know? They're on such a different, like, they're so low on the skill level that they just, you know, like, they're just so bad that they just can't understand that people are just that good, you know? So, those are just some things you have to watch for. Now, let's talk about the different kinds of hacks. Now, the different kinds of hacks, there's basically, at least the most common one. Honestly, the most common one and the hardest one to detect is when an enemy has walls. And what walls are, that's like slang for it. Walls are basically like, so you know when you throw a spotter grenade at an enemy and then it highlights them through the wall? You can basically imagine it like that. So basically, if I throw a spotter grenade and hit an enemy, they'll show up as red through the wall. Well, basically, a person running wall hacks can basically see all the enemies like that at all times, like anywhere and like forever. And so it's obviously really hard to detect people like that, because if they're a smart hacker, they won't just simply like shoot people through walls like across the map and stuff like that, right? They'll know you're there, but they'll just like, you know, do like if there's an enemy here, right, and I'm running walls, it's like, oh, okay, so I know there's a guy here, even though I shouldn't, because there's no UAV or, you know, whatever, he's not moving. I'll just be like, oh, here, oh, I killed you, you know, like, or I'll just jump shot and like kill you, you know what I'm saying? So like, a good way, and I actually have an anti-hacker class. Basically, what it is for my anti-hacker class, I'll run cold-blooded, I'll run ghost, and I'll run battle-hardened. So the reason why I do this is it's basically to test whether I think they're hacking or not. So if I'm running ghost, right, even if, so like this eliminates UAVs and whatever, right? So I'll equip these 3 perks, and I'll equip this class, and I'll just sit in a corner and I won't move. And the reason why is because, okay, the hacker cannot see me with UAVs, the hacker cannot see me with, you know, heartbeat sensor, radar drone, you know, nobody runs them anyway, but, you know, okay, so there's no way they can see me that way, right? Okay, and I'm not moving either, so there's no way they can hear me, and let alone hardly see me, because I'm, like, prone in a corner somewhere, okay? And then it's like, alright, well, I've got cold-blooded, a thermal scope couldn't see me, not that they'd be running one, really. They don't have high alert, I wouldn't be aiming at them anyway, because I'd just be sitting in a corner somewhere. Okay, so that's just to eliminate any other kind of possibility. And then battle hardened is just like for snapshot grenades, basically. But they'd still get a hit marker, but they wouldn't know exactly where I was if they were throwing them, which is very unlikely. Okay, so I'll equip those 3 perks, and then basically, like, I'll spawn back in, and then, like, I'll pick just some random corner to sit in. I didn't actually know you couldn't go there, but, like, you know, I'll pick somewhere weird. Like, okay, let's just say like right here. Let's say like my team is all spawning here, right? And you know, the enemies are all coming from this direction, right? Like if an enemy is pushing in, right? They're not gonna like no one really checks. Like they're not gonna come around this corner and like check here, right? That's not really something someone would do. They would like glance over and be like, oh, okay, there's nobody here, and go this way because that's where enemies are usually gonna be. So I'm just gonna sit here and I'm going to prone right in this corner. There's no way anybody over there could see me, right? My gun's not going to point out. My feet aren't pointing out. So there's no way, right? So if the hacker's coming, if the person I'm suspecting of hacking is coming this way, and then for whatever reason they just pop the corner and just shoot me immediately, like aiming right at me. It's not like they jump shot and like spray bullets everywhere thinking there's someone there. They just come around the corner and go like that. It's like, okay, well you're obviously hacking because no one would do that. Like, literally no one would do that. That's just not something anybody would even think or consider doing. So, at that point, I'd be like, yep, you're hacking 100%. Now, I mean, that's not foolproof, right? It isn't, as convincing as it is, it's still not 100% foolproof. So, I mean, like, you know, for whatever reason, maybe they just like checking that freaking corner, right? Maybe they're just like, oh, I got killed there before, so I'll just check that corner. You know, okay, alright, so I'll do it again. I'll pick a different spot. You know, like, maybe this is a map with a lot of grass or something, right? So if it has a lot of grass, I love to do that. I'll do this, okay? Like, I mean, my feet probably are pointing out just a little bit, but no one's going to see me in here, right? Unless they're really, really looking, right? So if they're coming up again, and then that same person, again, we're watching the kill feed. We talked about how important the kill feed is. So I'm going to just sit here and wait for that hacker to kill me. So he'll kill me, I'll see his name on the kill feed, be like, yep, you're hacking. Because, again, no one's going to see me there. No UAV sees me. No, you know, nothing is detecting me. So that's a great way to detect people with wall hacks. It's very difficult to detect wall hackers, like I said. And then but again, we were talking. That's a smart wall hacker. That's someone that's trying to cheat and trying to pretend like they're good at the game, even though they're complete dog shit. Now, if they're stupid and just like don't care if they get banned. Then they're just going to be shooting people through walls. It's pretty obvious, again. Like, I shoot people through walls all the time, right? Like, we talked about it before. Like, if somebody's, like, I mean, this map kind of sucks for shooting people through walls because all the surfaces are metal. But, like, I'm trying to think of a spot where you can, okay, so, like, you can shoot through this wall. It's really weird. We'll talk about shooting through walls in another video. That's actually a good topic I could talk about. But like you have to get a really good angle on this wall because if you shoot too much at an angle, the bullet won't go the whole way through. But like if you shoot it at this angle, right? If someone's looking out this window, right, and they're like shooting people, but like they're not standing there. They're like right here, just shooting out that way. Like I can sit here and if I have FMJ in a big enough caliber of bullet, I can just shoot through that person. Like if I see their I hear their gunshots. I see the tracers from their gun. I'm like, oh, okay, he's right there. Boom, 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 boom. Kill him that way. But a wall hacker is just going to do that like everywhere, right? Like, if the pieces don't go together like that, like again, like I can just feel. Like I know that sounds stupid, but I can just feel when I get killed by a hacker, like in a really weird way, or so, in a way that makes me think someone's hacking, because. You play the game for so long, and you just kind of know how you die. It's like, oh, okay, that's how I died, or oh man, I shouldn't have stood there, or something. It's like, whoa, like I've never been killed there. Like, how did I die? Like, not so much like how did I die, because like, again, I know these maps like inside and out. I know what surfaces you can shoot through. I know where I'm safe from getting shot through a wall. Like if somebody's shooting me from like here, right? I know I'm gonna be safe if I like duck behind here, right? It's a whole container in a box here. But like if I'm standing here, like no one shoots through this wall, right? Because there's no real way to know unless they're on UAV if someone's in this room. Like if there's no UAV and no one's using let's just say I'm running Ghost, right? And like I'm just sitting here, right? Let's just say I'm camping, right? And someone just blasts me through that window. Like you can shoot through that window. And like I'm just sitting here and I'm watching the kill feed and someone just shoots me directly. It's not like they're on the other side of the wall and they're like blasting all around. They're just like, I'm shooting right here because I know somebody's right here and they just blast away. Okay, yeah, it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious someone's got walls. But you have to again, you have to put all those pieces together like I was talking about. Am I running Ghost? Is there a UAV? You know, you got to think about it. But, okay, so that's walls. Obviously, the next one is aimbot. So aimbot is a lot easier to detect. Because it's pretty obvious. I mean, it's just so obvious. So, like, you know, obviously people can take down entire groups of people, especially in hardcore, right? It's not that hard. But the difference is depending, like, you have to pay attention to where you're at. So like I was saying before, if we have a guy here, like if I'm the hacker, we got a guy there, we got a guy there, and we got a guy there, and let's just first, you know, for conversation's sake, let's just say there's a guy over here, right? So let's just say I'm here, and I jump this corner, and I go boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a whole almost 360-degree field of people I just killed. Okay, no human's going to be able to do that. You know, especially if it's in, like, half a second. You know what I'm saying? It's just boom, and they're all dead, right? So, I mean, that's pretty obvious already, right? But it's, again, another thing is that, you know, it's kind of easier to tell on core modes because you have more health. You know, in hardcore, you're going to get killed in 1 to 2 shots, right? So, you know, you have to see how accurate their shots are. Something that's really funny is that hackers that run aimbot, they'll sometimes run gunships, and like they'll be killing people with the gunship, right? And if, I mean, maybe you've never gotten a gunship, but there's a machine gun on the gunship that has like 30 shots. So they'll like kill you with the aimbot with the machine gun, and then all the other like 29 rounds will just shoot exactly on your corpse, like perfectly, like all the bullets line up exactly because they're aimbotting, even on the dead corpse. So that's pretty funny. That's a easy way to tell. But you know, okay, so let's talk about how it actually works, though. Again, like, since I've never hacked, but and I know I can't be bothered to actually watch hackers. I mean, again, I've seen plenty of hackers, but like I'm not an expert in hacking. You know what I'm saying? So like, or rather, I'm not an expert on how, like, I don't know, whatever. So anyway, basically, for the most part, the way aimbot's gonna work is that sometimes, so like, it depends on how they have it on their setup. So if they're on PC, well, I mean, they are on PC, but like when they're on PC, you know, they have a mouse, right? So basically, they can, maybe they have the bot, or not the bot, but like the script or the code that they bought to cheat with to change the game files and make it, you know, make the game hacked. Like, they can set it up to where if they aim, then the cheat is activated. So like, let's just say there's 2 people over here, right? So if they come around the corner like this where they're hip firing, they can have it set up to where they're not aimbotting, but then when they aim, it's like boom, it snaps immediately onto them, and then they're just holding the fire button. So the moment that person's dead, it'll snap onto the next person. Okay? Or like, again, like if there's like all these people, they can come around this corner looking normal, and then the moment they aim, it like snaps onto that person. You know, it's just boom. It just snaps, and then they start shooting. It's just boom, boom, boom. It'll snap onto all the targets. But if they kill that one target, and then they stop aiming, then they could just do this, and then it would look normal. Again, it's mainly a way to hide it, to be like, oh no, I just have really good aim. Like, oh no, I can just snap onto people really good. I'm just so good at Call of Duty. Obviously not. But so that's one thing. Sometimes like their aimbot is just like anybody in their direct line of view. So like if I'm walking around this corner, and let's just say they're just running aimbot, not wall hack, so they don't know anybody's coming around here. If they just walk around this corner, it'll just snap onto someone. You know, like the first person in your line of sight will just, you know, it'll snap. The aim will snap onto them. So there's multiple versions of how it can work. But what's important is how do you counter? How do you counter? Like, you can't really counter somebody using wall hacks, because it's like, okay, well, if you just simply don't know where they're coming from, what are you supposed to do? But with aimbot, there's actually a pretty good way to counter it. So the riot shield is your friend. And actually, let's go ahead and switch to the riot shield. Whoops. Alright, so let's commit suicide here. Alright, so as we all know, the riot shield is impenetrable. Now, I mean, like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, you have to be extremely good to actually beat a hacker or have a really good coordinated team. But the reason why the riot shield is so good is, again, you can't shoot through it. And what did we talk about before? The aimbot is just going to aim on the person that it's detecting, either in their field of view or the moment they aim, right? So what ends up happening is that, okay, let's just say, like, again, let's just say I'm one of the two people here that I was talking about before. The hacker's over there. I'm one of the people. I'm right here, and my buddy's over here, right? So the hacker's gonna come around. He's just gonna see me. He's gonna aimbot onto me, right? And his aim is gonna get stuck on me because the cheat is like, oh well, there's a guy here. I'm trying to kill him, and then so I'm not gonna die. He's gonna be shooting at me, and then maybe he'll stop aiming and try to get the guy over there, and maybe the aimbot is like, oh well, there's a guy, it could get all janky for the hacker, like he can't fight the aimbot because it's still trying to kill me, and then he's trying to kill the guy over here because he can't kill me, so that'll screw up the aimbot. It's like, okay, well, now I'm getting myself killed because my aimbot is actually working against me. So basically, all you have to do, because the way it works really with the aimbot, it's usually depending on how it's coded. There's some aimbots, that's something I should have said earlier. Some of the people's aimbots just aim directly for the head. Like, you just watch the kill feed. If you see one guy, one guy's name popping up in the kill feed, and every single one of his kills is a headshot, which is just a picture of a head with a crosshair through it. That's a headshot. Whoops. So obviously, if he's getting all headshots, then yeah, pretty safe to assume he's a hacker. But most aimbots, they're gonna aim for center mass, so it'll be the torso. So he's not gonna be like. It's funny, the aimbot's supposed to make his aim perfect, but that's actually his detriment, because now he can't. The thing with the riot shield is that you can kill someone behind the riot shield if they're standing. You can shoot their feet, because you can see my feet sticking out, or you could maybe try to jump and like shoot over the shield and kill him that way. Well, since his bot is aiming for center mass, he can't do that. He literally cannot kill me now because the shield is protecting my center mass. So, obviously you just have to keep a direct line of sight on him, because if you turn, then he'll get a shot on you or something like that. So now the strategy with this, again, if you're playing with solos, like if you're playing by yourself and you just got a bunch of strangers you're playing with, very, very unlikely you're actually going to be able to coordinate with a bunch of random people and get them all on the same page and get them, because they're all different skill levels and yada yada. So you're probably not going to be able to beat a hacker. You can make their time miserable yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're probably not going to win, but you can at least, screw with them. But if you're playing, like with me, if you're playing with a whole team of like people that are good, that know what they're doing, that have played hackers before, that know what to do, that kind of thing, literally all it takes is like one or two people on a team like that to run riot shields, and then the hacker's literally going to be screwed. Like, yeah, so with kill confirmed, for instance, so like if, okay, so basically what I'm going to tell my teammates is like, okay guys, I'm going to run this shield, just two of you stick behind me, and then let's say someone else is running a riot shield, alright, the other two of you stick behind him. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the aimbotter to aim onto me, and then he'll get distracted on me, and then my two buddies behind me are going to kill him, or maybe he'll get his aim off and kill one of the other guys, and then the other guy kills him. So not only are you screwing with his aim because the riot shield he can't shoot through, but you're also overpowering him just with sheer numbers, right? So like yeah, we talked about before how the aimbotter can just zip onto targets like immediately, but the fact of the matter is that all still takes time. Like, yes, it is just a split second, but a split second in Call of Duty is a very long time. I know that sounds dumb, but it's true. So like, okay, yeah, if we got two guys without riot shields coming up, and there's a riot shield guy right here, it's like he'll come around the corner, and it's like, oh, there's a riot shield guy, so he'll kill this guy, but then this guy's here, and while he's still trying to aimbot onto him, okay, well, this guy killed him, so now, this guy can deny the dead guy's tag. I can come up and confirm the tag, and we win. You just keep doing that, and there's nothing the aimbotter can do. I know that's a lot to explain. I've got actual gameplay of us doing that, which I'll probably post tomorrow and break it down for you. It's an actual hacker game that we win. I have lots of those already posted on my channel, but I'll be able to break down that video. So yeah, that's basically how you handle that. So yeah, I mean, aimbotting and wall hacking are basically the most common forms of hacking you're gonna get. I mean, there's other hacks. Like there was one. This is the first time I've ever seen this. There was someone hacked a lobby where the only way you could kill people was if you shot them in the head. It was really, really strange. But you know, that was just maybe the hacker was trying to do challenges and he didn't want to like play the game normally. He just wanted to get that challenge done with I don't know. It was really strange. I've literally only seen that once in my life on this game. I've seen it in other Call of Duties before, but this was the first one. But anyway, those are the most common forms of hacks. And I think lastly, I mean, I think I've more or less said all I can say. I mean, there's not much you can do against hackers. Just being able to identify them is the big part, because obviously you can report them and then they get banned and then they lose their mom $60 and, you know, whatever. I mean, I guess there's one other way you can detect a hacker. Like if you ever join the lobby, like sometimes you just get this really weird smell. Like you'll start smelling something. It smells like stank virgin or something. That, I mean, it's a little harder to detect depending on where you live, but I mean, that's another way. Also, if they happen to have a mic, they usually sound like really high pitched, like their voice is really squeaky and maybe a bit retarded. But you know, that's a little harder to detect that way. But yeah, anyway, that's how you detect hackers. Once you get as experienced as I am, like I said, you can beat hackers. You can be so good at the game, even hacks won't save people, and that just proves how much of a god you are. But anyway, I'll see you all in the next episode.